Hi, everybody. We had a couple questions on these set of example problems here, which is on arc length. Mr. Howe posted an example of how to find circumference earlier on today. Hopefully, you're able to watch that to guide you. For all these problems, in case you've forgotten or in case you didn't watch the Khan Academy video, the formula that you need to follow is we always take our circumference and we multiply that by the central angle over 360. That is how we figure out what the arc length is. So that equals arc length. Now they throw a couple curveballs at you here because sometimes they give you the arc length, sometimes they give you the angle, sometimes they give you circumference, sometimes they give you a couple different things. So I want to take a look at the 4 examples that I've been given here, and we can see if they apply and what applies and what we need to find here. So here we go, the very first one. Circle has a circumference of 6. It has an arc length of 1. What is the central angle? So in this case, we need to find the central angle. For this one, though, there has been some confusion on when to use pi and when not to use pi. First of all, the circumference, the formula is 2 pi r or pi times diameter, either one you look at. So what you have to ask yourself is, what have I been given? If I've been given the circumference, I don't have to mess with pi or 2. If I'm given the radius or the diameter, now I have to bring pi into play when I have my circumference. In this case, they gave me the circumference. The circumference is 6, so I don't have to mess with pi. I know c equals 6. So I'm ready just to jump into my formula. I know that the formula is circumference, which in this case is 6, times my angle. I don't know that angle, so I'm going to call that x. And this is the angle that I'm talking about right here. Over 360, it's always 360, equals the arc length, which I've been told is 1. Okay, so now I just go and clean this thing up. I'm going to multiply by 6 here. And when I multiply by 6, it's 6x over 360 equals 1. If I simplify 6 over 360, I can yank a 6 out of the top and bottom. So this gets me x over 60 equals 1. I'm going to put 1 over 1 just to make it a proportion. I cross multiply. X times 1 is x. 1 times 60 is 60. So my answer for my angle is 60. Let's go up here and type that in. All right, looking good. Let's take a look at the next one. Okay, so now on the next one, circle has a radius of 3, and arc in this circle has a central angle of 60. The question is, what is the length of the arc? So now we need the arc length. But for this one, they gave me the radius. Remember the formula that we talked about for circumference. Circumference equals 2 pi r. So again, we ask ourselves, do I have the circumference or do I have the radius or something else? I have the radius in this case. So I've got to take this. I don't know what the circumference is yet. I've got to plug that in for r. So circumference equals 2 times pi times 3, and 2 times 3. I can ignore the pi right now. I'm going to keep my answer in terms of pi, is 6 pi for the circumference. Now, when you type in your answer, you can either use the exact answer in terms of pi or use 3.14. It is totally your call. We'll take a look at both examples and we can see how we type things in. So now we go back to our formula. We know it's the circumference, which is 6 pi, times the angle, which we know is 60. They gave that to us. Always over 360 equals the arc length, which in this case we don't know. That's what we're looking for. So now I just clean this up. Now you have 2 different options here. Option number 1, if you leave your answer in terms of pi, you just treat pi like it's a variable. You basically totally ignore it. You just have it in your final answer at the end. If you don't want to keep pi as a variable, then just change it to 3.14 now and multiply it by 6. We'll take a look at both examples here. But let's just say we want to keep our answer in terms of pi. So what I need to do is totally ignore pi right now. So let's go to my calculator here. If I go to my calculator, I need to take 60 divided by 360, hit enter, and I multiply that by 6. If I multiply that by 6, I get my answer of 1. So if I want to leave my answer in terms of pi, that means my answer is 1 pi. So I could go up here to the box and I could type that in. My other option would be, I can wait till the end and I can multiply this. 1 times 3.14 is 3.14. Or I could have taken care of pi right at the very beginning. If I go back to the calculator I know if I take 6 times 3.14, that's 18.84. So if I go over to here, this would be the same thing as 18.84 times 60 over 360. So now I just type that into my calculator again. So let me go back to that. I take 60 divided by 360, And I multiply that times 18.84. And we get ourselves an approximate answer of 3.14, which is exactly what we said before. So either way we do it, the decimal is 3.14. In terms of pi, it's 1 pi. It doesn't matter what you type in up here, because as you can see, when you click this box, when you type in 1, pi is an option down here. So if you have your answer in terms of pi, it's 1 pi. If I go and check that, you can see our answer is correct. They would have taken 3.14 as well. It doesn't really matter. All right, next question. Okay, in this one, a circle with circumference of 12 has an arc of 330 for a central angle. What is the length of the arc? Okay, so again, we use our formula over here. They gave me the circumference. The circumference is given to me. I do not need to mess with pi here in this case. So circumference is 12. I multiply that by the fraction of the angle that we're given. In this case, the angle is 330 that we were told. Always over 360 equals the arc length. Okay, so I go to the calculator. With my calculator, I take 330 divided by 360. I multiply that by 12, and we get ourselves an answer of 11. Type in 11, check it out, and it works. Now, with this type of problem, you have to be careful sometimes, because sometimes these ones don't come out cleanly. If you get a decimal, Khan Academy does not like decimals. So you need to try to simplify that fraction. You can just ask Siri. You can Google things if you're not great with simplifying fractions. If you try to put a decimal in for these kind of answers, Khan Academy doesn't like it. So just try to put in your answer as a fraction in case you're struggling. All right, speaking of fractions, here we go with the next one. A circle has circumference of 8 and has an arc length of 32 over 5. What is the central angle of the arc? Okay, so now we need the central angle. So they gave me the circumference. So I know the circumference is 8. So it's 8 times the angle that we've been told we don't know. That is x over 360. In this case, we need the arc length. So we have the arc length. Sorry, that's 32 over 5. I'm going to multiply by 8. I only multiply straight across the top. So that's 8x over 360 equals 32 over 5. This is a proportion, so I cross multiply. So let me go to my calculator. 360 times 32, that's going to be a pretty big number, 11,520. So I know that 8x times 5 is 40x equals 11,520. I divide by 40. So I go to 11,520. I divide by 40. And we get ourselves an answer of 288. So in this case, the central angle is 288 degrees. So I go up to my box. I type in 288. There we go. All right, so hopefully with these problems, understand when to use pi, when not to use pi, the setup of the formula that you're looking for. Hopefully you're a little bit more comfortable using those things. Good luck on your 4 practice problems. Let me know if you need anything. Thanks, guys.